Hello, everyone, and welcome to Walking Through the Bible. There is a fine line between confidence and arrogance. Confidence is the feeling or belief that one can rely on someone or something, a firm trust, whereas arrogance is having an exaggerated sense of one's own importance or abilities. For instance, I can be confident that I can do a job based on my own abilities and past experience, but I can become arrogant when I believe that I alone can do something simply because of my own abilities and past experience. Well, when it comes to God, we can be confident that God will act righteously according to His will and will deliver us from evil, if not physically, then spiritually. David had confidence of physical deliverance because of God's messianic promises to him. David would have become arrogant, though, to expect God to deliver him because he deserved deliverance. In Psalm 54, we see David's confidence in deliverance and the basis for that confidence. So let's read the psalm now. If you have a Bible with you, then you can turn to the book of Psalms, to Psalm 54. We're going to be reading from verses 1 to 7. If you don't have a Bible, don't worry, just follow along with us on the screen. The version that we'll be reading from is the New King James Version. So, Psalm 54, beginning of verse 1. To the chief musician with the stringed instruments, a contemplation of David when the Ziphites went and said to Saul, "Is David not hiding with us? Save me, O God, by your name, and vindicate me by your strength. Hear my prayer, O God. Give ear to the words of my mouth. For strangers have risen up against me, and oppressors have sought after my life. They have not set God before them. Behold, God is my helper. The Lord is with those who uphold my life. He will repay my enemies for their evil. Cut them off in your truth. I will freely sacrifice to you. I will praise your name, O Lord, for it is good. For he has delivered me out of all trouble, and my eye has seen its desire upon my enemies." Psalm 54 is written to the chief musician, meaning it was meant for temple worship. It was to be sung with stringed instruments being authorized in the temple worship, but not finding any authorization in the New Testament worship of the church. And it is said to be a psalm of David, written on the occasion when the Ziphites went to King Saul and told him that David was hiding among them. Now, it's been a while since we studied 1 Samuel, so I'd like us to go and refresh our memories now. So if you go back to 1 Samuel, we're going to read 1 Samuel 23, verses 14 to 23. And David stayed in the strongholds in the wilderness and remained in the mountains in the wilderness of Ziph. Saul sought him every day, but God did not deliver him into his hand. So David saw that Saul had come out to seek his life, and David was in the wilderness of Ziph in the forest. Then Jonathan, Saul's son, arose and went to David in the woods and strengthened his hand in God. And he said to him, "Do not fear, for the hand of Saul my father shall not find you. You shall be king over Israel, and I shall be next to you. Even my father Saul knows that." So the two of them made a covenant before the Lord. And David stayed in the woods, and Jonathan went to his own house. Then the Ziphites came up to Saul at Gibeah, saying, "Is David not hiding with us in strongholds in the woods, in the hill of Hachilah, which is on the south of Jeshimon? Now therefore, O king, come down according to all the desire of your soul to come down, and our part shall be to deliver him into the king's hand." And Saul said, "Blessed are you of the Lord, for you have compassion on me. Please go and find out for sure and see the place where his hideout is, and who has seen him there. For I am told he is very crafty. See therefore and take knowledge of all the lurking places where he hides, and come back to me with certainty, and I will go with you. And it shall be, if he is in the land, that I will search for him throughout all the clans of Judah." David has been on the run from King Saul by this point for quite a long time, going from town to town in Judah trying to evade capture. He is in the region of Ziph, which is about 8 kilometers or 5 miles south of Hebron. But instead of being allowed to remain hidden, the people of Ziph informed Saul of David's whereabouts. This is why in Psalm 54 he says that strangers have risen up against me and oppressors have sought my life, for they have not set God before them. By this time, Saul had shown himself to be a wicked king, and David was beginning to be seen as his natural successor. David had been helping the peoples where he went, such as Keilah, as seen earlier in 1 Samuel 23. Righteous men wouldn't have gone to Saul in order to have David killed. They would have at the very least remained silent or informed David if Saul was coming. But these people were not righteous. They did not have God set before them, so they went and told Saul. Therefore, David called on God to save him and vindicate him, judge him by his strength. Notice here that David was wholly relying on God. He had the ability to be trapped by Saul in this region, and so it was necessary for David to rely on God to work, perhaps through his providence, to keep Saul away. And in providing David victory by God's strength, God would be showing the evildoers that God approved of David and disapproved of Saul. David was confident that God would come to his help and uphold his life, because God had done so in the past. He was so confident that God would do so that he vowed that when God did so, he would freely sacrifice to God and praise the name of God, for God's name is good. This was not a conditional statement, I will do this if you do that. No, David said that he would do these things because he knew God would repay his enemies for their evil and cut them off in God's truth. Did God do this? Well, if we go back to 1 Samuel 23, let's read verses 24 to 29. So they arose and went to Ziph before Saul, but David and his men were in the wilderness of Maon, in the plain on the south of Jeshimon. When Saul and his men went to seek him, they told David. Therefore he went down to the rock and stayed in the wilderness of Maon. And when Saul heard that, he pursued David in the wilderness of Maon. Then Saul went on one side of the mountain, and David and his men on the other side of the mountain. So David made haste to get away from Saul, for Saul and his men were encircling David and his men to take them. But a messenger came to Saul, saying, Hurry and come, for the Philistines have invaded the land. Therefore Saul returned from pursuing David and went against the Philistines. So they called that place the Rock of Escape. That David went up from there and dwelt in the strongholds at En-gedi. The Lord delivered David, just as David knew that he would. We should note, however, that God didn't perform a miracle to do so. He used his providence to stir up the Philistines, which got Saul to have to go and deal with them, thus delivering David. For the Christian, God hasn't promised to perform miracles in our lives, but he has promised a way of escape from temptation for the Christian so that we are able to bear it. He has promised to never abandon the Christian if we walk by faith. God will deliver us from evil. We just need to continue walking with God. With that, our time is up for today. The Lord willing, we hope you'll join us for tomorrow's discussion of Psalm 55, verses 1 to 15, as we continue our walk through the Bible, one verse at a time. We thank you for watching Walking Through the Bible today. If you have any questions or comments, you can leave them below. But if you like this video, we ask that you consider subscribing to our channel so you won't miss out on other videos in our series, as well as share this video among your friends so that the saving message of Jesus Christ can go out to the whole world.